Welcome to another episode of BayView Views, folks. Social Security has been a reliable income for tens of millions of people. For 60% roughly of retirees, it is their primary source of retirement income. But in recent years, again, it's become such a misunderstood topic. And again, it's used in a lot of political debates. And there's just a lot of misinformation that can affect your retirement decisions. Remember, if it's 60% of your income, that's a big decision. So today we're going to kind of bust some of the myths, check what's really going on with the finances, and kind of clarify recent claims about even the one big beautiful bill and the tax law changes. Some people were saying that Social Security taxes were going to be removed. So I want to try to help you to think strategically. Because when it comes to Social Security, there's really no one-size-fits-all answer. So if you're watching some TikTok videos or some YouTube videos, as we often kind of run into, it's not just black or white. It's not just a one-size-fits-all. So let's talk about the trust fund. The Social Security's finances are made up of, think about it, payroll tax revenue, interest on the reserves, taxation of benefits, and then the trust fund's reserves that kind of build up over time. So as of the end of 2024, the combined asset reserves in Social Security trust fund, they stood at about $2.7 trillion. That's with a T, that's a lot of money. And so as of the end of 2024, that number has declined slightly by about $66 billion, with expenses exceeding income and interest income. And that's what's been happening for the past few years, right? So at this pace, the reserves are projected to be sufficient enough to pay full benefits until about 2034. And then after that, only about 80 to 85% of benefits would be payable from annual income without any changes to the system. So let's talk about some of the misconceptions. So oftentimes people say Social Security is going broke, and I'm not going to get anything from it. And that probably couldn't be further from the truth. Because think about it, if anybody let this fail, they would be committing political suicide. So even after the reserves are depleted, the payroll taxes will still cover around 80 to 85% of the benefits, right? So let's kind of put that in perspective. You often hear the trust fund is just a pile of IOUs. Well, that's partly true. The reserves are in special U.S. Treasury securities, but those Treasury securities, again, are backed by the full faith and credit of the U.S. government, and they've got to be honored. Some people might think the solution is simple. You just either raise the retirement age, you cut benefits, or raise taxes. And these are options. We're going to talk about some of these things, but each has, some significant trade-offs to it. The fourth one would be the one big beautiful bill has eliminated taxes on Social Security benefits. Well, this is really misleading. The one big beautiful bill did create an income-based deduction that can reduce or eliminate taxes for some retirees, but it's certainly not geared towards just Social Security, and it is geared more toward lower income earners. So what the one big beautiful bill really does is it introduced a $6,000 tax deduction for retirees age 65 and above, and they have to be below certain income thresholds. So again, if you make over $75,000 for an individual or $150,000 for couples, you will see this deduction phase out. And again, this deduction can reduce or eliminate federal taxes on benefits for some, but it doesn't completely repeal taxation of benefits. Because taxation of benefits contributes revenue to Social Security, reducing this tax without replacing that revenue really, kind of think about it, worsens the funding shortfall. So what are some of the options to kind of extend the Social Security life? Well, you could raise or even eliminate the payroll tax cap on earnings. That cap today is currently about $176,000 for 2025. And if you got rid of that cap altogether, you would actually fix Social Security. You could gradually increase the payroll tax rate, right? So each person and the employer currently puts in 6.2% in FICA taxes. You could adjust the benefit formula for high income earners, right? So the bend points is what we call them in there. You could slowly raise the retirement age. It's kind of indexed for longevity. The full retirement age for most people today is 67 years old. You could modify the COLAs or introduce kind of a means testing for higher income beneficiaries. And again, that was one of the things that hurt it pretty significantly way back in the 70s and 80s is the inflation adjustment that they put on it that was just really not sustainable. And they told them that, but they did it anyway. We can also use other revenue sources for taxation changes to kind of support the program and prop it up. So there are a lot of options, and many are kind of, when you think about it, small tweaks in the system to make it more sustainable. Filing strategies. I mean, the right time to file, is such an individual decision, but it's going to be based on your health and your longevity expectations, what your other sources of income are, what your assets are, what you're earning on those assets, your marital status, your family status, your spousal benefits, your tax considerations, personal risk tolerance. So there is no universal answer. It's really about your unique situation. And Social Security has removed many of the strategies that people used to use to try to increase benefits for a couple, like the file and suspend strategy or filing restricted status. So Social Security is financially challenged, but it's not collapsing, right? Many tweaks can extend its life well beyond 2034. And you think about it, it is politically unlikely that either party would allow it to fail. Again, the One Big Beautiful Bill tax deduction helps some retirees, particularly lower income earners, but it doesn't eliminate taxation on Social Security. So again, your filing decisions should be based on your health, your family, your financial situation, not just generic advice. So again, be realistic, be informed, plan carefully, use a trusted advisor, right? Somebody who's got sophisticated software that can kind of build all of this stuff into it, because your decision should be based on all of those variables we talked about: your income, your spending goals, your assets, your earning rates, your ages, your genealogy, right? All those variables could change a simple break-even analysis if you looked at Social Security in isolation. So again, watch out for these guys that are just giving black or white advice, yes or no, early, late. It is a very individualized decision that you've got to do with good data. Well, thanks for watching another episode of BayView View, guys. I hope this helped. And if you like, share this video so others get a clearer, more accurate picture of what's going on really with Social Security. Have an awesome day.